if you haven't told every single one of your friends about Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast, then you should go have a drink with Bill Cosby. I'm Rock.
And I'm Archie.
Well, our opinions, they might not matter to some, but...
What are you doing in there?
It's a podcast.
Immature, crass, trashy. And those are their good qualities. These poor schmucks are a couple of IQ points away from eating paste. But when it comes to music, sports, and comedy, well, that's all they know. You're listening to
Not These Two Fucking Guys.
Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast.
I went for my vasectomy consultation yesterday.
You did?
Yes. And I sat down. The woman walked me in, sat down. And, you know, everybody's wearing masks. Nobody knows what they're fucking really thinking about. Or, you know what I'm thinking? Like, everybody wearing a mask. Like, imagine those motherfuckers that didn't brush their teeth in the morning. Yeah, right. Hitting them right back. It's called recycled garbage.
Or when you have to show them your wiener, you can't tell if they're laughing or not.
So the doctor was definitely cracking up. So the doctor comes in and he said, what can I do you for? I said, well, funny you say.
$25.
Can you, I said, I'm here for a vasectomy consultation. He said, okay. I said, do you have kids? I said, yes, I have 2. He said, have you and your spouse talked about this? I said, yeah, of course. He said, okay. So, he said, pull down your pants. And
coincidentally, that wasn't the first guy that day that said that same thing.
It's weird. It's like 2 minutes later after like he got done like, you know, checking me out and stuff like that. He's like, I'll be right back. And then all of a sudden another doctor came in and said, how you doing? I'm your doctor. I was like, what? Who was the first guy? I manscaped for him like I was fucking...
Careful not to nick the sack or anything like that.
That's what I'm saying. By the way, if we start another band, it's called Nick the Sack. So, and as I was shaving prior to this, because, you know, I didn't want this gentleman to think that, like, you know, he had to get the fucking, like... I mean,
when you say shave, you're using a buzzer, I'm assuming.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to go...
You're not pulling your sack like taffy and then... Like
no.
taking a straight razor, like you're putting mustard on a hot dog, right? Like a hot dog truck.
No.
All right, I just want to know what we're dealing with here. The people got to know this stuff. It's important.
In fact, to be honest with you, I was buzzing, and you got to buzz very carefully because if you get one of those little pointy things on your yam bag, forget about it. You see stars. I've bled before. So as I'm shaving, like I'm going through the routine of, like, you know, trimming and buzzing and putting a little shape, you know, trimming and buzzing. Next thing you know, I look down, the fucking hair pile's like the size of a freaking small muskrat.
You should have went for a hair plug consultation right after and brought that bag of hair with you. But let me ask you a question. And this may sound silly.
You got to quarantine for a week. You got to take a COVID test. You can't take it. Yeah, you got to stop taking aspirin for 2 weeks. I live on aspirin
because they don't want you to bleed out.
I guess so.
Thin your blood.
He goes like this. He goes, you got a small chance. He goes, you got a better chance of winning the lottery, but there's a small chance that, you know, one could squeaker by, and one could slip past the goalie.
Well, let me ask you this. Real quick. I mean, I'm not going to say your doctor's something wrong with him or anything like that. But what does he have to see your balls for?
Like, to touch him. He touched him. No, seriously.
But all right, maybe I'm just. I think aren't all balls the same?
I think he thought he was in Atlantic City playing craps. He was fucking blown on a die.
They're touching what to see if like they're like veiny or like
to see if there's like a little like maybe cysts or maybe like what'd you say?
You said assist?
Yeah, so he touched this. Now, let's be honest here. I'm laying on the doctor's doctor's table, and I'm kind of sweating. I don't usually pull my pants down for gentlemen, usually. So I pull him down, and I'm laying there, and he's like, okay, yeah. And he's like moving one, moving the other, like it was like he was playing Jenga. And I was just like, okay. And he's like, oh, all right, well, looking good, okay. He's like, then I hear him under his breath. He's like, 1, 2, okay. So,
like you're holding fucking 2 plums.
Are these yours? Holds them up. That's how fucking. I'm 42. That's how my fucking ball sack is so. So yeah. So I left there with a packet, and when I'm ready, I call them up and I say I'm ready to go. But I still have to talk it over with my better half to see if it's the right thing.
Yeah. So what she wants? She's gonna say no, and you want to say yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't blame her. Like, bro, my mom chimed in. I told my mom I was going. She's like, do you really want to do that? And I'm like, do I really want to do it? No. Do I want to go to a doctor's office and have my balls plucked at? No, not really. Do you? No, right? But we'll see. Well, it's not meaning we'll see if we'll have another one. It's meaning we'll see if I get it. So that's my...
Your pull-out game isn't strong.
I
think it's gonna make you less of a man.
Yeah,
I'm not sure you can afford that right now.
Did you know this, that your testicles store sperm, and that when the procedure's done, you still, as they say, you still got some guys in the bank.
Sure.
So you're not shooting blanks. You can still get somebody pregnant after the procedure. 6 weeks. You go back, you take a test, J.O. in a cup. Sounds like high school. And
1 J.O., 1 cup.
And you they test it, and then they say another 4 weeks after that. So like 10 weeks after the procedure, you can start, I guess, I don't know, having unprotected sex or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you, this sounds fucking terrible. All of it.
You gotta put ice on your balls. Oh, this is the kicker.
You have to wear a jock strap too, right?
This is the kicker. So he tells me that there's percentages, very small percentages of infection. Like they have to say it to you, you know, God forbid something something happens in the fucking operating room, right? So they have to cover their ass. There's a small percentage of infection. There's a small percentage of this as well. So there's 2 things that I was like, what the fuck? Number 1, there is a small percentage that, even though how did he explain it? I could be wrong to you people out there that actually know what the hell it is.
You mean you're not a doctor?
Doctor. They're kind of sealing off the tube of sperm to this, because I think your sperm and your semen they intertwine, I believe. So
they're called your spermin.
Yeah. A reading from spermin. There's a better chance of winning a lot that one could go through there, right? That's number 1. Like, that's crazy. Wow. So it's not like totally cut off. 2, well, we don't know why this happens. When a doctor says that, starting off with that, you're like this, you're like, all right, well, if you don't know why it happens, I'm sure fucking Jimmy fixing my car down the block doesn't know what the fuck happens. So he goes, we don't know why this happens, but less than 1% of men who have this procedure done feel their testicles afterwards. Feel their testicles afterwards. What do you mean, Doc? Well, what I mean is, do you know how you feel they're not there? Like, you don't just, you know, obviously if you get hit in them, you know they're there. But generally, you don't feel your balls. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't know. We don't know if it's psychological. but men, less than 1% after the procedure, say they actually feel their balls, their testicles.
What do you mean feel them?
Meaning, like, maybe if you start running down the block, you're gonna feel 2 fucking coconuts bouncing. Like if you took a 10-yard sprint, you're really not like. Are you gonna be like, oh, my balls? Like, no, right?
Oh, you mean like it would hurt if you did that?
Yeah. Like you feel them now. You act like you have sensation down there. Then he looks at me and goes, could be psychological.
Thanks. And this is reversible?
I didn't ask that.
No, I wouldn't ask fucking important questions.
Well,
like
I mean, once you jump off the cliff, where you...
I don't know. What if you decide, you say, hey, you know what? Connect that tube back on. No? It's a possibility. Yeah, I don't know, man. Feeling your balls. Don't you have to wear like a jock strap for like fucking like a week after?
I don't know. He didn't say that.
I don't think you really went to a fucking doctor, to be honest with you.
Dr. Jim's Dildo Hut and calzones.
So I know two of my friends had this procedure done, and no shit, the doctor's name is Dr. Seaman.
That's phenomenal.
That's not a plug. I mean, he was kind of born to do this, you think, right? Or be a porn star.
You have to be kidding me. Are you serious?
Dr. Seaman.
Oh my God.
Pretty fucking crazy. No bullshit.
Dr. Seaman. How you doing? Dr. Seaman. Stop it. All right, with the jokes already. Okay. All right, Doc. I got it.
I walk a 100-pound pit bull down the street. I'm a tough-looking son of a bitch, okay? I walk a 3-pound peekaboo down the street. They're looking for my husband walking behind me.
Yo, Arch, we have one funny motherfucker on tonight.
God bless. I can't wait.
I laugh my ass off. And I gotta say, he's from our home state, good old dirty Jersey.
Yes.
He's known as New Jersey's bad boy, the very funny Mike Marino. What's up, Mike?
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is fantastic.
Thank you for giving us the time. We appreciate it, dude. We're big fans.
I'm a big fan of me, too.
I just want to start off this podcast and say my wife told me to run off to Walmart this morning, and I was like, you want to know what? I'm going to fucking blow a bone real quick, and I'm going to walk into Walmart, and I want to see what Mike is talking about.
Hey.
There we go.
My little kitty from the 80s. Pack that bowl up as good as I can. Get myself over to Walmart and find my jokes.
Oh, man. It was hysterical. I did understand. Now, I walked around thinking that I was the problem, but no, there wasn't.
Hey, you were talking about putting your kids to sleep. If you go to Walmart and you watch some people shopping with their kids, how you can't find comedy, I have no idea. I bring a pad and a pen. A pad and a pen.
That's great.
It's funny that you say that, though, but do you do a lot of, I mean, I know you do some observational humor, but is that how you get material, by people watching and just being in these situations?
Yeah, because life is funny no matter how you slice it. And I know there's a lot of problems going on in the world these days. And eventually, if things loosen up, the comedy about what's going on will eventually arise. Mm-hmm. And, comedy comes from disaster. Comedy comes from pain. Comedy comes from drama. People ask me all the time, where would you find comedy in death? Well, I went to pre-plan my father's funeral with my father a couple weeks ago. He wanted to do it.
Jesus.
So you actually plan your own funeral. Like you were planning a party, like you were planning a wedding. I didn't even know you could do that. So we go to the funeral home and the guy's sitting there and he goes, well, how much money do you want to spend? And I'll give you some of the layouts and the costs. Okay. So he takes out this book and he says, how many people do you expect? And how long would you like to have your funeral? Would you like 2 hours, then a break and another 2 hours? Do you want it Monday through Friday or a Saturday and Sunday? And my father's got to answer this question. So he looks at me and goes, what do you think? I'm like, it's your funeral. What are you asking me for? How is that not funny?
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
So then the guy says to me, he goes, if you could come to your father's funeral, would you come during the week in the afternoon, or would you probably rather come on the weekend? And I'm like, well, what if it's a nice day? and I want to go to the beach. And he goes, then have it during the week. I'm like, then during the week. And then they eventually ask you how many cards you want to send out. Do you want to have it in the newspaper? Mm-hmm. So they make an announcement that someone passed away in the newspaper. It's $800 for the news.
Jesus Christ.
So I said to my father, look, I'll just put it up on Facebook. Forget the 800. And then after you pick all these things, you pick the coffin. And they show you 12 pictures of all these coffins, 12 pages of all these coffins. Mm-hmm. And there's one for $800 up to $8,000, $10,000 for these coffins, right? So my father goes, you don't got to spend that much money on me. I'll take an $800 coffin. And I said, all right, we'll take the 800. And the guy goes, well, for another 100, you get the extra lining in it. It keeps it sealed.
Okay.
So my father goes, well, can I get the extra 100? I'd like to be sealed in. And I go, but if I went to Home Depot and got a $6 thing of caulking, I could caulk you right in and save the $100. I mean, how is this not funny?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes.
Fucking great.
There's probably no topics that are off limits, right?
This guy says to me that there was a coffin for $15,000, and I go, who buys a $15,000 coffin? And he goes, well, the handles are gold. And I go, well, what if somebody like me finds out somebody buried a $15,000 coffin with gold handles, and I know where it is, and I got a shovel. I'm digging that up. And I'm selling the handles.
Oh, God. It's so true. It's so true.
So there's comedy and tragedy.
Yes. Yes, there is. I'm surprised that, like, it's got to be out there, but if there's a bit about, like, you know, nowadays when, God forbid, someone passes away and then they do, like, a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Years ago, you died. You know, you died. The family paid, or, you know, you got what you got. There was no GoFundMe.
Yeah. GoFundMe.
Yeah.
So I got put onto you by a good friend of mine, my friend Gary, and the first bit I saw you do was the Italian Family Feud. I was laughing for days, and anyone like we grew up in Bloomfield. All of our friends are Italian. We're Italian, so they obviously they get it. I would show anyone that would listen that likes comedy, and everyone was dying from that, and that's where did you get that bit from? Like where'd you get the idea from it?
I do come from a full-blooded Italian family. My mother was born in Italy. My father was born in Jersey City, and nobody I know is in show business. Not around my family. Everybody's really in construction, and everybody does have that big slap you in the face, tell you to go screw attitude. But we're a loving, caring family. So my mother she came to see me in Hollywood maybe twice in her entire life. She's not that type of person. She wasn't impressed by Disneyland or Hollywood or none of that shit. But I do remember saying we should probably go on a game show. And I said, but no, in our family, we'd start beating the shit out of each other during the commercial break. And at that time, a lot of people remember that Richard Dawson used to be the host.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And he was a big drinker, and he was always drunk. That's why he kept kissing all the people, because he was like, day. Yep. I always remember, I go, I could just imagine going on a Family Feud, and Richard Dawson tries to kiss my mother. My father would beat the living shit out of this guy. And then you could imagine the arguments we would have. Everybody over there going, good answer, good answer. We'd say one bad thing. My father would be like, I will knock the shit out of you, you stupid idiot. So that's the way I was coming up with those bits, because that would have happened. There was even a longer version of the joke. I used to say, they'd ask us questions like, name a round fruit. And my mother would be like, Fenoik. You know, the thing is, she'd be right but wrong.
Very true.
I used to do Italians on Baywatch. That was one of my first routines. I haven't done that in 100 years, but I always thought it would be funny if there was a bunch of lifeguards on the stand, somebody being help, I'm drowning. I'm like, yeah, you certainly are, but I can't come get you. I just ordered lunch. Besides, you just put on the baby oil. I go to grab you, squirt right out of my hands. And we'll get you tomorrow. Once you drowned up, you'll drift.
Isn't it amazing how our culture is so food driven?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
my mom. Oh, I'm sorry. My mom talks about dinner at lunch.
Isn't that amazing? And we all grew up pretty much the same because my mother would do that. And I would ask other people, is my family nuts? We'd be sitting down having breakfast. My mother would be going, I'm making you lunch. Take it to school with you. And don't be late. I'm making steak for dinner.
Yeah. Like my mom straight up, but just all right. So listen, so we got dinner. I'm like, Mom, I just ate lunch. I don't know.
I remember. Again, we had macaroni every Sunday, every Wednesday, like religiously. I don't know what happened. One Sunday, my mom decided to make a turkey. My dad fucking lost his mind. like you would have thought what she did, but everything is centered around food. You're right. We would talk about, hey, we want to eat this weekend. Like, it's Tuesday. What are you talking about? But
I remember my family would have dinner every night at, let's say, 5:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have two brothers, so the five of us would sit at the table. If the phone rang, my mother would look at us and say, which one of you guys has a disrespectful friend that called this house while your father's having his supper?
His supper.
Right? That we didn't say dinner. It was supper.
No, it was supper. Yeah.
Sit down to supper.
Yes.
So that was my dad never hit us, but the place you were most vulnerable if you fucked up was don't fuck up at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Don't be a wise ass. Don't put your elbow on the table. But it's so funny how you say that though. When I remember being a kid and the phone rang, I'd be like scared when we're eating dinner. Like, holy shit! Like,
yeah. Hope it's not my friend.
So you make this. You're originally from Jersey, correct?
Yeah.
Or you're from? Okay. So you make a trip out to good old Hollywood. You packed up and you went out there. Did you go out there expecting a lot? Did you go out there knowing I'm going to fucking take it on by storm? What was your mindset on your way out there? Because I can imagine it would definitely be unsettling to say the least.
Well, I grew up in Scotch Plains, but I was born in Jersey City.
Okay.
So when I moved from the city to the suburbs, we already dealt with that shock. Because you're going from the city with all the tough guys to the suburbs where there were some tough people, but they were spread out.
Yeah.
I was already acting in New York from the age of 16. So I started doing TV commercials and I had my feet wet. And when I was 22, I was on a soap opera for about a year. I was on As the World Turns. I never wanted to be a comedian. I didn't become a comedian until I was 29.
Wow.
And I went to a comedy competition and I was clowning around and I won. But I had a theatrical background, so I kind of knew how to perform. And I basically made fun of my mother. And that's what got me in. So when I went out to California, yeah, you're thinking you're going to take the world on by storm. But you also learn a valuable lesson. You're one of about 1 million people from around the world flooding into Hollywood, hoping you're going to become the next big thing. So that's when I really started doing stand-up because I wasn't making a big living as an actor anymore. And roles were far and few between. So I started doing stand-up because you could supplement your income by going out every night. Now you might make $10, $20, $100, but the training was unbelievable. So then I started getting small bit parts on TV shows, movies. I got on The Tonight Show. I got on a bunch of other stand-up shows. When I became a big name in Hollywood at the Comedy Store and at the Laugh Factory, then I started getting offers. When I started getting the offers to do other TV shows, that's when I got some viral hits on YouTube and the Byron Allen Show. And before you know it, I was selling out theaters in the thousands around the country, around the world, a lot of Canada. And you become so addicted to performing in front of that many people that it becomes like a drug. You have to have it. I want to be on stage all the time now. And I come from humble beginnings. I've eaten a lot of fucking apple pie, man. I've had it shoved up my ass every which way till Tuesday. There ain't no white privilege here whatsoever, if you can even consider me a white guy, because my parents are hardcore ginzaloons, and they had their asses kicked too.
Yeah.
But that's really all I want to do now. I want to do film and television, and I want to perform. I just did a show this Sunday night. Thank God, 500 people showed up. It was all outdoors, and you could see the faces of the people going, please help us. We're so miserable. We're so jammed in the house. We're so depressed. So let's hope maybe when the pandemic comes to some kind of an end and people start beating the shit out of each other in the streets, everybody will be going running to the comedy shows to say, I need some relief.
Yeah.
I think it'll definitely give people a renewed appreciation for going out and being able to take in entertainment, kind of like almost like after like 9/11 when shit was shut down for a while, and then people went out. And I think especially stand-up comedy, people need a laugh right now more than ever, I would say.
I hope so. I know where to find it. I know what I'm going to do. I never really make fun of anybody. I don't really get into anybody else's life. I don't do anything about politics. I make the show all about me. And if you make the show about yourself, it's usually pretty safe. If somebody's offended that you made fun of yourself, well, then what else are you going to talk about? I mean, it's me. But usually when you talk about yourself, someone's going to relate to your life. Like when we talk about food in our family.
Yeah.
All my first stand-up routines came from just talking to my mother. I couldn't believe she acted that way. So you would come up with routines. Like my mother would go like this. Oh, I can't believe I just cooked for Thanksgiving. I ain't doing this no more. Somebody better do it next year. Your mother's not going to do it. I've had enough. Then Christmas would come and she'd do the same identical thing with the same relatives and say, I ain't doing this no more. I can't. I've had enough. Somebody better take a picture. I'm not doing it no more. So I always said, you know what? I think it was my mother's greatest ancestor that was responsible for the Last Supper. That's how it started. She said, you know what, Jesus, I've had enough. I can't do it no more. Somebody else should do it. Call Leonardo da Vinci. Tell him I said, paint a picture of this. This is the Last Supper. And that's how it started. See, a lot of people know Jesus was Italian.
So let's rewind for a second. Talk about, because I'm fascinated. Like, now you said doing soap operas. Like what's the filming schedule like? Is it filmed every day? Is it filmed? Do you guys film the week?
Well, I don't know about these days, but in the 80s, when I was on As the World Turns, I actually did scenes with Marissa Tomei. She was the star of the show at that time. And so was Meg Ryan. And who knew? Because she was like 19. I was probably 22, 23 years old. And you go there in the morning. They hand you the script. You rehearse. Then you have lunch. And in the afternoon, you film it. So you got to read. Most of those stars were reading scripts and learning it within the hours. Or maybe they got it the night before.
Yeah.
But, you're part of a storyline. So you pretty much know what your character is going to do. I think one of the best ongoing storylines I ever had was I was on Party of Five. And it was in its last season. Yeah, I was the woodshop owner. And I had scenes with some of the stars of the show. But it becomes repetitive. It's not easy, but it's easy. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, that show got canceled. I just got done doing a movie called Pizza and Wine. In fact, they said it's going to be out for Christmas. And it's about a Christmas type thing. And the girl who plays my wife played the wife on all Meet the Focker movies with De Niro. Her name is Terry Polo. So it was amazing to see her and be her husband. I didn't have a lot of lines. She had a pretty big role. Robert Davi plays the grandfather, and Robert Davi's been in a boatload of movies, and he and I just did a tour because he does Sinatra, and I was his opening act. Nick Totoro was in the movie, which was fun to hang around with Nick because he's out of his mind. But what you do making a movie like this is, of course, you guys know they could say cut. We didn't like the way you do it. Cut, do it again. Oh, that was great. We need one more. And I told everybody, try being a stand-up comedian. We never hear that.
Yeah.
It's do or die. You are live. Time to go.
Well, that's what. So Archie and I we've been in a band together since we were younger. So yeah, when we're in the studio, you can do 10 takes writing singing a song or playing a part. But when you're, like you said, when you're on stage, we play live. You fuck up. You know what I mean? And everybody knows it. So and I give stand-up comedians so much credit that it's a little easier. Like, I'm the singer in the band, but I have 4 other guys with me. You know what I mean? You kind of feel like you have, like, when you're up there by yourself, that has to be sometimes the most intimidating feeling. I mean, obviously you're used to it by now, but
my balls would be sweating.
Yeah. Your balls sitting down.
Well, I could hide behind my amp. You know, it's a fucking stand-up comedian, man. You got your mic. You're out there. Some guy starts fucking with you. The room turns. This is like you to be seasoned comedian. You have to fucking know where to go.
I spend a lot of time on stage, hours and hours and hours. I'm doing this 27 years. This Sunday night, I opened for a Frank Sinatra review, and on stage with me was a 17-piece orchestra, and they had to sit there for 40 minutes while I was performing. And they were talking amongst themselves, and I was in front of them, and I can hear them.
Yeah.
So I had turned around and started making fun of them. I made fun of the people in the room. I made fun of the lights, the sky, the sound, the train. But you bring it all in through joy and let people know, hey, look, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
And people laugh. If somebody heckles you, it's very easy for me to put somebody to bed because I'm a wordsmith. This is what we do. You don't want to challenge a stand-up comedian. They will verbally assault you. This is all we do. Plus, I know what's on your mind. I know why you're doing it. It's usually a drunk female. Yeah. And, you just know what to do.
Yeah.
But I actually play the drums, and I've been in a lot of bands. So every once in a while, when the band is doing what they're doing, I say to the drummer, go ahead, take a break, and I play in the band.
That's fantastic.
That's cool. Yeah. That's real cool. Man of many trades over here.
Just 2.
That's but like you said, and that's something that definitely translates over watching the clips of you. You look like you're having a good time up there. Like you look like you're enjoying what you're doing. It's not like you're just like rattling off jokes and telling a story. Like you're having fun, and it's like sometimes you're smiling, you're chuckling, like, and I feel like that's, it goes to what you said about you're talking about yourself, right? You're not looking out to offend people. You're looking at make people have a good time, and it's almost at your expense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was a time where I took on a character where I was a little bit on the angry side. But in the past 5 years, I learned to say to myself, you know what? This is actually a lot of fun. This is what I do for a living. I don't ever want to stop. So I might as well start laughing at what I make up. So just as for instance, Sunday night, we were outdoors at Monmouth Park. It's the racetrack. And we're out at the Blue Grotto. So the people had a beautiful night and big, beautiful trees. And all of a sudden, you hear the sound blast from a train going down Jersey Transit. So I said, what are the chances a comedian would be on stage, and instead of hearing people laugh, you hear the horn blast from a train saying, I'm out of here, I'm going back to New York. And people just started cheering. And you know what I say? Good, Guido's go home. Get out of here. If you remember that.
Oh, yeah. So, again, you said you started off acting, stage, movies, what have you. What made you, or what was the impetus behind you becoming a stand-up comedian?
Well, I didn't want to quit show business, and so many of my friends who went from the East Coast to the West Coast to get into show business found themselves getting a real job, getting married, having kids, and I'm like, I can't do that. I just want to perform. So when I started hanging around at the Comedy Store, started hanging around with Andrew Dice Clay.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, it's him. We became friends. I became friends with his friends. And he started giving me some pointers on how to do and go and grow. He's the one who called me New Jersey's bad boy.
Oh, wow.
Andrew Dice Clay. He called me the Golden Guido. He said he's never seen a blonde, blue-eyed Italian. So there was a time, I think it was 94, 95, he went and did a comeback tour called Andrew Dice Clay and the Bad Boys, and it was me, him, and Jimmy Norton.
Yeah.
And I went all the way to California to get booked at Rascals in West Orange. Go figure. And so we did the show, and I remember being on stage and him telling me, hey, this is great. You're doing good. I was addicted. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. And that night, believe it or not, me and Jimmy Norton got a part in a movie called Crooks.
Oh, wow.
Forgot all about that. He plays my brother-in-law. You guys familiar with Jimmy Norton?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we love him.
I haven't seen or spoken to Jimmy Norton. It's got to be 15, 16, maybe even 20 years. And I started with him.
The last time I actually ran into him like 2 or 3 times weirdly on a flight to Vegas. But I went to go see because I was interested to see how. Do you know Anthony Cumia from Opie and Anthony?
No, I never met them, and I've never been on O&A. I got to make that happen somehow. It's almost ridiculous.
Anthony has a show in New York, and Norton came in. Like I said, not a surprise, but he just stopped by, you know.
Right.
And I was out. We left together. I asked him a couple questions. Cool dude. Yeah, good guy.
Oh yeah, we did a lot of shows together, but mostly open mics. We're talking about before anybody knew who the heck we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to connect
awesome.
with him now that I'm in Jersey. I got to connect with some of these guys now that we're all just mulling around, hoping something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I know there was another big show over the weekend in like South Jersey that there was a female comic that's pretty big, Nikki Glazer did, and people are doing drive-ins now. And Jim Brewer's doing
Nikki Glazer was at the same place I was, the Blue Grotto.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't know which one it was.
Nikki Glazer was there. I think a guy named Mike DiStefano was there. I was there.
Okay.
Next weekend, it's Kevin Hart. And then the weekend after that, it's Vic DiBitetto.
Oh, so they're using that place up then. That's a good spot. Was it now that spot? Now I know I follow a lot of comics and like who's doing like showing up like guerrilla style in a park and just doing stand up. Who's doing stand up out of a window? Who's doing just to get your rocks off? How is it out there in like a drive through type atmosphere in the park?
I've been lucky. Every show that I've done so far has been under a tent and averaged about 200 to 300 people.
Mm.
But I did do one show where the people pull up in their cars and they listen to the act on their radio in the car. However they do that, I don't know. They got an aerial or something.
Okay.
So as a performer, you can't hear the people laughing. They beat their horn if they think it's funny.
Jesus Christ.
So you're outside. The people pull in. You have to do it like around 6, 7 o'clock before the sun goes down.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'd be in the dark.
Yeah.
And I did it in Atlantic City. Seemed like it was a really bad neighborhood. There was about 8 cars, and they were blowing the horn. I'm doing the jokes, blowing the horn. But I just started laughing, and I made fun of my life. I just said, hey, you know what? From thousands of seats, TV specials, to a street performer in front of cars.
Yeah.
This is the shit.
Yeah.
And people were blowing the horn. I go, you know what I'd really like? For somebody's car alarm to go off, and I'll consider that a standing ovation.
See,
so you know what? You make the best of it. Yeah, you know, you go from a $20,000 show to $200 in a cheesesteak.
I love your attitude, bro. Because
what are we gonna do? It's out of control.
I mean, like being a performer, obviously, we could tell, like, just from your career, it's in your blood, and this is what you want to do. So, yeah. This I can't remember. Joe Rogan said on his podcast the other day, he was like, "Yeah, this one comedian did a special for her parents. She filmed it for her parents. She did a special."
Yeah, I remember that.
I can't remember which comedian it was. But yeah, you got to do what you got to do. You know.
Well, I filmed a special once, and my parents were there.
Is there a show that you did or a venue that you played that sticks out in your mind? Like, hey, like this was like a bucket list item, or maybe one of the favorite shows that you played, or you know, I mean, you were obviously on a big tour with Dice and that kind of stuff, so I'm sure there's a lot, but I don't know if you can narrow it down to, you know, one show where you're like, hey, this was it.
Yeah, of course. But the bucket list always grows to another bucket.
Yeah.
It's just amazing because I remember in 2006, I always wanted to do a DVD concert where they filmed it.
Yeah.
So we rented the Paramount Theater in Asbury Park. At the time, it was condemned. No, nothing was going on there. But I got a deal with a company in Los Angeles, and they paid for it. So 1,600 people showed up. It was the greatest night of my life. I didn't think I would ever do anything better than that. 3 months later, that DVD was in Target, and I would walk by and say, there I am, right there on the shelf.
It's awesome.
Released on a big TV series show in Canada while I was out there on the Montreal comedy tour. And I didn't think I'd top it. But I ended up doing the Paramount every other summer. And instead of filming it, I did it for the money. And it felt great.
That's fantastic.
2 years ago, I had to make a decision. Do I want to play the Paramount again? Or should I go to the Count Basie? And the Count Basie finally made me an offer. I've been begging for 10 years. 10 years. Please, please let me play here. But you got to prove yourself. You got to show that you sell tickets. Well, I was coming from NJ Pack. And I did 2 sold-out shows back to back in the same night. So they heard, and they want to know what your numbers are. They don't care how good you are. They want to know what your numbers are. Are you making money? So we sold out to Count Basie, and I was like, woo-hoo. And I didn't think I was going to top the Paramount.
Yeah.
But the Count Basie did, because it's 10 years later. I'm a better comedian, more seasoned, new material, new stuff. I know exactly how to get the audience in a rip-roaring good mood within seconds. And so that was it. Now I was supposed to do it again in May, but we got canceled. I was supposed to do it in September. It's getting canceled. So when they said, you want to do the Blue Grotto, I said yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going from a boatload of money and a big, big night to a small amount of money, but not such a bad night. And then you got to just take the good with the bad. Otherwise, you're going to lose your mind. Nice to know the fans are still coming.
That's, you know, well, and another topic, people want to get the fuck out. You know, people just want to, they don't want to see anybody behind, they don't want to see non-expressions behind a mask, you know, people want to smile. Yeah. So
that's why I named my show Mike Marino Unmasked. It's also a play on words, you know, a lot of people say, hey, don't say that. I'm like, don't you understand a clown wears a mask? Yeah. It's like when Kiss went on tour and said they were unmasked. I'm unmasking myself so you can see the real me. It's
actually
a joke.
The first thing I thought of.
Either that or I'm going to say make America Italian again.
I love that, the hashtag make America Italian.
We got new T-shirts coming out tomorrow. They say Marino 2020. I'm running.
I love it.
I got my platform. You don't know none. You don't see none. You don't say nothing. That's America.
Well, I tell you what, the first snippet I put out of this interview on social media, that's going to be the hashtag. That's going to be the first. That's going to be the first wording, the first sentence I put.
Hashtag make America Italian again.
But I saw that's not one of my favorite clips of yours. The Italian president,
Byron Allen.
Yeah, yep. That's what I initially saw. And I know you've done, obviously put some stuff in your set, but fantastic. I love the cigarette. Throw it in the ground. Step on.
One of the greatest compliments I ever got was I was entertaining somewhere, and this 10-year-old little boy dressed in a soccer suit, he came up to me and he's just standing there looking at me. And the parents said, "My little son, he loves you so much." I says, "Where are you all from?" She goes, "Argentina." And I go, "So he understands me?" Yeah. I said, "This little kid understands me?" And he went like this. And you know, everybody asked me, "Where'd you get that from? Who are you imitating? What are you doing?" And I was like, my dad. My dad used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I don't know how he's alive, but he couldn't talk to you unless he smoked the end of the cigarette and put it out. So if you were to say to me, if you say to my father, "Hey, Dad, what are you doing?" He'd go like this. You want to know what I'm doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just did that. And people kept doing it. Everywhere I went, people would go like this.
I'm telling you, like that kind of stuff just adds to the act so much. But that was an awesome bit. The Italian president. And then you talk about when going after Bin Laden.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, pull up a rock.
I was talking about something. You know how far you live from New Jersey? I had to get up.
Hey, Vinny, hit him with the bat.
No,
I can't wait to do Antifa.
Yeah, man.
Antifa. Gotta talk to you. Nah. That little trick you pulled with the town. Nah. You're out of the family business. That's your punishment.
I just love to ask comics this because I'm so inquisitive about how when something comes to mind, are you a fuck? Where's my pad? I'll remember that. Oh, where's my phone? Where's my, like, and from what I hear, different comics, some comics might even leave a little paper on stage, and some are photo, they can remember. What's your method?
I was always pretty much undisciplined in that way. I should have brought a pad and pen with me. I forget half the stuff I come up with, especially if I smoke some weed and I come up with the greatest shit. I forget the next day, and I'm like, damn it, I should have remembered it. But there was times I would get high and I'd write it down and I would look at it the next day. I'm like, this sounds like shit. Why was this so funny last night? Yeah. So I really don't know. I should have written a lot of stuff down. But what I do is I just write a sentence, which is the topic, and then I'll make stuff up. So if I was to write the word dating, I know I'm going to talk about a night out with a girl or something. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to write the gym, I'll talk about exercising and find some funny that way. Mm-hmm. I just started rewriting stuff about the gym because they're closed. So you could say, I remember I used to go to the gym back in the 80s when all the guys used to say, all right, he's 400 pounds. I'm going to bench press it one time. Let me know if anybody's looking. Anybody see me? No, but there's a bone coming out of your neck. Do you remember we used to work out like that?
Oh, yeah.
You going to work out your legs? Nah, I got baggy pants.
Yeah. Skinny bottom. Big top.
Right? I don't need it.
So when you come up with a concept, is it, like kind of like Archie was saying, so you have a thought, right? And you said you write a sentence out. Is it, do you, and I'm talking about normal life, not COVID, what we're going through now, but when you're on the stage a couple nights a week, are you working it out every night and you're kind of doing something different, putting different inflection or putting a different thought in there? Or is it, you write it, this is how I'm doing it, and that's how it goes?
Nah. You could do the same joke for 20 years and make it funnier and funnier and funnier. Change a word, add a word, subtract something. There were bits I did 20 years ago that I could bring back to life if I wanted to. Anything really you can make funny, anything. So let's say, you guys were laughing about the Walmart thing, but I really experienced that. They have a thing called the Minute Clinic when you go to CVS. And you have to register in the computer. You put everything in the computer, and then some guy comes walking out and he goes, are you next? I'm like, I'm the only one here. And he goes, did you make an appointment? I'm like, yeah, I just made an appointment. And he goes, well, I'm waiting for somebody. I go, but they're not here, and this is the Minute Clinic. You already wasted a minute. So, and I'm just talking to you guys, and I'm making that funny.
Yeah.
Because that really happened. And recently I went to a Costco to buy grass seed, and they sell pianos now. The piano was next to the grass seed. So it's kind of like, well, who planned this? Who works at Costco and says, I got a great idea. We're going to sell pianos and we'll sell them right next to the grass seed. get the, people who want to cut their lawn, take care of the lawn, they play the piano.
Jesus Christ.
And then they didn't have Steinway, they had Kirkland's.
Kirkland piano. That's funny. Because I know Kirkland. Yes, that's pretty fucking funny.
So you buy some Kirkland pianos and you get free socks.
I was like, Kirkland makes tires and fucking chop meat.
And shirts. That's very funny.
Great fucking paper towels, I'll tell you that much.
I bought a piano, but I saved on a hot dog with a refill of a Pepsi.
So if this year, let's just say this was a normal year, what would your year have been like? Just how often? I mean, are you? Because you can. I mean, you're at the level now where you make the schedule you want. Are you doing as many shows as you can? Is it like weekend club dates? Like what would your schedule have been?
If the year didn't take a dump, I had probably one of the biggest years of my life. I was booked for the entire year, at least 5 nights a week, somewhere around the world.
Wow.
March 15th was my last official booking from the beginning of the year, but I was going to do 2 TV appearances. I had a part in a TV series. I was going to be on Royal Caribbean ships once a month for a week, which is steady money, and I love doing it. You get to see the world, and they pay you to go.
Yeah.
That all got squashed. And I had mostly theaters. We had the St. George's Theater. We had, of course, the Count Basie Theater. I had the Orion Theater in Chicago, the Wilbur Theater in Boston. I mean, it was going to be sick. San Diego Theater. Fuck.
Nah.
Seriously. So now in Jersey, they're allowing, I guess, 25% capacity, whatever that means. I don't know if it's a certain amount of, a certain amount of people. I think they said like 100 people, but 25% capacity. But like, how do you know how big the place is? But anyway, I don't know, man. What do you think? When do you think like real life is going to get back to normal? I mean, because it's going slow.
I don't think anybody even knows that answer. I was talking to my uncle, who's a professor today, and he said that he thinks they'll have a vaccine by November. There's 3 companies getting ready to put out a vaccine now. And then what's everybody going to do? Run for the vaccine? Yeah. I've never been tested. I'm not sick. I don't feel bad. And I traveled a little bit. I've been with some, situations maybe I shouldn't have been in. I feel all right. But who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like we're being punked.
Yeah.
What if everything goes back to normal? They're like, hey, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. What the fuck just happened?
Did I black out? What was that?
Yeah. We were wrong.
No, it was fine.
They're wrong. You hear all the theories. They're telling people they had COVID-19 who never even had it.
Yep.
You know?
I just saw that the CDC made a change in their statistics that it was only 6% of the people that got COVID actually only had COVID and no underlying issues other than everybody else had it. So you kind of don't know what to believe, right? And then you hear people say, well, as soon as the election's over, this is going to go away too. And vaccine, maybe November, but I can't believe we're sitting here in September and the year's done, and I say that, again, the last time Archie and I played a show was December, right? We had a book and we played the Wellmont Theater in Montclair, which is a couple blocks away from where we went to high school. So we're like the hometown heroes. Like you said, they don't give a shit how you sound. We sell a lot of tickets there. So the last show we played, in front of a couple thousand people, and that was it. And little did we know that we wouldn't play a show in 2020 until now, and we obviously haven't played one yet. So, but it's
very nice.
It's something that right now looking back is unfathomable. I can't believe that our lives got shut down like this.
I understand the pandemic I understand everybody trying to be cautious and save each other. My depression comes in the fact that there's so many people fighting in the streets.
Yeah.
This whole fucking racial fighting thing, you feel like going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
6 months ago, I had a lot of friends of different color. We loved each other. We were having fun. I hope I'm still going to be friends with those guys. I don't think that's going to be the problem, but damn. You look at New York City, what the fuck?
Yeah, New York City's bad. It's not not looking good.
I'll tell you this, and again, we don't like to Archie and I don't get too political on anything or whatever, but so like the whole George Floyd incident was absolutely the most heinous thing I've probably ever seen. You know, you're watching someone get murdered, essentially, right?
Yep.
And the way I think, and believe me, I'm a pessimist, but I'm thinking I'm glass half full. Like everybody, no matter what color you are, could agree this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Yep.
You would think there'd be more unity than anything, and it's been the opposite. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of shocking. I'm like, you finally, you have something that everybody could agree on. This is fucked up. But yet, look at the unrest that we have. It's kind of it's scary and it's crazy.
Well, you saw the people when they were protesting, and then they go out and riot and pillage and ruin everything and destroy property, and you're kind of like, oh man, how's that gonna help?
It's not, unfortunately.
But then again, you know, they do this stuff all the time in Los Angeles. I remember one time, I don't know what basketball team won the playoffs, and they trashed the neighborhood.
Yep.
And they're like, you won.
You
didn't even lose.
You fucking won.
You won. Why did you set the car on fire? You won.
Back in the day, I remember maybe early 90s, the Detroit Pistons won the NBA championship, and they fucking destroyed Detroit that night. Like they were like pushing cars over, lighting fires, fucking. It's I just don't think that kind of. Listen, I'm all for protests, and I'm all for, you know, bringing issues to light. But man, I don't think that kind of violence is going to solve anything. It actually augments the problem.
You know, they had a protest in this little town here because somebody wanted to get rid of the statue of Columbus in this tiny little town, which was put up by the Italian American Association, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So they had a peaceful march, and all the Italians got together, and they walked down the street, and they say, please leave the statue alone. A lot of people don't do 100% of their research on who Columbus actually was and who killed who and who murdered who before he even got to the island, right? But that's how people are. They'd rather get a little Google version of what's what. So a couple of guys gave speeches, and they asked me if I would give a speech. And I knew I was in front of some people that probably wanted to get rid of the statue. So I have a good gift of gab. And I said, well, if we're going to replace it, let's replace it with somebody who did supposedly something fantastic. I say Frankenstein. I mean, come on. The guy was put together leg by leg, arm by arm. You can't call him a racist or anything. You never know where all his body parts came from. And he died twice and came back to life. Even Jesus didn't do that. And the people were like, holy shit. So I made them start to think, you know what? He's right. This is kind of stupid. This is stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the following year, we could change the statute again. Somebody else that we like, you know. Nobody ever talks about Mighty Mouse anymore. He did good things. You know, you try to make people think, look, they didn't exist. What are you talking about? Exactly, dummy.
Yeah. It's good that you can make a light out of things, you know.
You gotta try.
You have to.
Hey, listen, while I'm standing here, Hero Kings, I am dying for a sub sandwich right now.
Is that in
Nutley?
Lyndhurst?
Nutley.
No, okay.
What?
Hero Kings of Nutley is a proud sponsor of Mike Marino live from my mother's basement. And on September 18, I'm going to that deli to sit there and sign autographs.
Nice. I think we got to go over there, Rock.
I don't get paid, but I get a turkey club.
Talk to us about your podcast. How's your podcast doing?
Great. You know, I was podcasting from all the countries I was going to because I was on the ship. So that made it really interesting so people could see where I was, right?
Yeah.
And then I always had this idea I would call it Live from My Mother's Basement because really that's where I am. I'm in the basement of the house I grew up in.
Okay.
Mom's not around anymore, but this was Mommy's place. So
Gotcha.
Live from My Mother's Basement. We do it every Monday night now instead of whenever I feel like it. I got some nice sponsors, and it's a fun show. And I usually just talk to whoever writes in and see what the hell I feel like talking about. So actually last night I would do on for 45 minutes, we all talked about food. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous because people are writing in from different parts of the world and they talk about what their fun stuff was. So some guy writes in from Australia and he goes, Mike, I'm a big fan. I'm like, what is a Vegemite sandwich? And, you know, it took the turn down that street.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And then you just keep on going. And if you really want to know and you really are curious, people would talk to you.
Yeah.
You know, you always get one guy who wants to say something stupid.
Oh,
But
well.
delete. Delete.
Well, I have a question. You know, we don't want to keep you too long, but the question is that I was in my car not too long ago. Rocky texted me. He's like, "Yeah, we got Mike Marino coming on." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." So I'm listening to your bits again and stuff. Here's a pattern. I'm a little stoned. I'm in the car. I'm waiting to get out, and I got your Starbucks bit. Now, for some reason, I've heard of you before and I've listened to your bits, but for some reason, I didn't hear that bit. I just didn't hear that one. So I'm like, oh, I didn't hear this one. And I'm sitting there and I turned the engine off. I rolled down. I had the windows down. I'm listening to a bit and I'm cracking up. And I'm listening and I'm like, this was me, you know, X amount of years ago. Cause I was like I didn't even fucking know what type of cup of coffee, latte, macchiato, fucking whatever that was. So I was sitting there and I'm laughing. And this is where I have to ask this question. I love the bit. I'm just letting you know that you're like, you know, you're fucking gay. You got to be a faggot to, you know, now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this fucking PC world that I'm living in now, they could hear this bit and just say, oh my God, how could he say that? How could he say that? Now, how do you feel about that bit years ago today? Is that something, and would you even bring that out word for word, or would you might have changed it a little bit here and there?
You change the words. You see, we're not the only ones that are forced to change. Some of the people who are of that are forced to change as well from their own. Yeah. If you know what I'm talking about. I grew up in show business. I've been around gay men and women my entire life. I'm in show business.
Yes.
They're my friends, my cousins, my friends. They're my friends. So I've done fundraisers for all these different type of events. AIDS Project Los Angeles, and I was the only straight guy in the show. But we all love each other and you're having fun. So I would say, you walk into Starbucks, you become a little gay as soon as you walk in the door. Now, if anybody got mad at that or offended, it wasn't them. They were laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else got to cause a problem. So now what I do is I say, you become a little feminine.
Ah.
Now,
Gotcha.
I really don't know what you could say about that. And then I become the feminine person.
Yeah.
I also do a new thing on my show called My Fake News Family, and my cousin Michelle does the weather, and it's me dressed in drag. I think it's funny. But I do a stone guy who surfs all the time. So what do we got to do in the future? Now, watch out. There's a surfer going to go, dude, man, I'm offended by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's man, if you kind of can't go back and like just scrub out, you know, if that's the case, then, you know, people like Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Eddie Murphy, like these guys wouldn't have existed. Like if you couldn't, if there in today's environment, if there's words you can't say, you have to understand, if you're watching a comedian, nothing is meant to be mean-spirited, right? And nothing is meant to be putting somebody down. Fortunately, there's words and that's but that's the exaggeration in the joke, and that's the exaggeration in the bit that they're doing.
Some of the funniest shows on television, like The Odd Couple, Sanford and Son, All in the Family. I mean, come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Funniest shows. Blow anything away that's on television right now, because the truth is funny. And if everybody wants to start watering down some shit, it's going to get really, really boring. But there was a time that something like this happened. Young comedians were calling it alternative comedy. Alternative comedy. And the pros would say, yeah, alternative to being funny because you're not. And instead of doing funny stuff, they did some kind of half-assed comedy poetry that wasn't making anybody laugh. So they're all back to their regular jobs now.
That's it.
This is about making people laugh. Yeah, they go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And you think about it, if people really paid attention, when you go to Starbucks, there's a tip cup, right?
Yeah.
They put out a tip cup. A tip is supposed to be for a person who works for waitering and waitressing wages. Nothing else.
Sure.
So I don't even know what they think that's for. Did they come up from around there and serve you the coffee? No. Did they put it together for you? No. They want a tip because they're making it back there, but that's what the chef does.
Yeah, they don't even put the milk and the sugar in for you at Starbucks.
No. So tip was supposed to be for how good you were at what you did. I just went over to the ice cream parlor, and the girl says to me, what would you like? And I said, I wanted the 12-pack ice cream sandwiches. And she goes, well, they're 2 for $12. Do you want to do that deal? And I said, that's a great deal. Yeah. And she goes, would you want 10 vanilla and 10 chocolate? And I go, yeah, thanks for telling me. Mix them up like that. So when she came back and I handed her the money, I handed her a 10 and a 5, which is $15, not 12. And then I said, keep the 3. Because she was fun and nice. She didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So she got tipped.
Yes. Yeah.
Of course.
It was a nice gesture. I went to the Quick Check, and this girl made me a sandwich. Now, they usually make the sandwiches the same way at the Quick Check. I hate when they do this. I like my roll cut down the center and opened. None of this folding baloney. Because when you fold it, all your meat sticks in the middle and the salad's stuck on the edge. So you don't get everything in one bite. I want it stacked like that. So the girl at the Quick Check is making a sandwich, and I noticed, without me even asking, she cut it down the middle and started building that sandwich. Mayonnaise, turkey, Swiss, onions, all the stuff, and then the top. So she makes me the sandwich, she puts it in the thing, and she goes, number 42, and she handed it to me, and I go, excuse me, did you make this sandwich? And she's like, yeah. And I slipped her a $10 bill, and I said, you're the best. And everybody working there was like in shock. But I knew, I'm like, you know what? She made this sandwich so special. Can't wait to go home and eat it.
She got a $10 bill. Did you see that?
We went right back to food. Did you see that?
I'm telling you, bro.
What we do.
It's just where we're from. Ask Rocco the other day. He came over to my daughter's 2-year-old birthday, and my mom goes to him. He goes, Rocky, look at you. I just made some homemade dadals. Here you go. He was popping them like wafers all night long. Dadals, burping them up. Dadals. Just kept talking about food, shoving food in his face.
Isn't that the best?
Oh, it is the best. It is.
My whole podcast last night, I was talking about, I go, what's the one thing that keeps people from fighting? Food.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't be mad while you're eating. As long as I'm done with these raviolis,
I'm going to kick your ass.
I'm going to kill you, man. I'm going to nap for a minute.
Mike, you're an awesome dude, bro. Awesome. I'm so happy that Rocky reached out to you and we hooked up. I truly hope that when this is all over, we could do another one in person because this is a good time. You guys come down
to my house too. You're welcome to the basement.
That would be fucking awesome, dude. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Mike Marino Live. Everything is at Mike Marino Live. My YouTube channel is YouTube.com/Mike Marino Live. And my website where you can get Marino 2020 t-shirts is MikeMarino.net.
Awesome.
Listen, dude, you're an awesome dude. Again, like Arch said, next time we're doing this in person.
All right.
Maybe we can even, maybe Arch will stop by for a fucking sandwich at Hero Kings.
Come to the Hero Kings, September 18th. I think I'll be there at 4 in the afternoon.
we love Nutley. We'll go by there, Arch, and we'll go by Ralph's and get a slice of pizza.
That's right. Mike Marino, everybody.
All right, good night, guys.
Have a great one. Stay safe, bro.
We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Seriously, come on with that guy. Fucking hysterical. MikeMarino.net. You can follow him at Mike Marino Live. Oh, my God. Honestly, my cheeks hurt. And that was fucking great. And I hope I get to see him in person, have a fucking sandwich with him in Nutley with Rocco. With that being said, Rocco, talk to me, son.
If you know that POTUS and FLOTUS got the vid, some people say if Biden wins, God forbid, and then you woke up in the morning and don't know what you did, then you better be listening to Not These Two Fucking Guys podcast.
Yeah.